keep an eye on them. But cabbage that I planted, doing good. New growth. Some of these leaves are looking a little wilty. That's kind of expected when it gets pretty cold. We're in the second week of May. Yeah, it's May. But that's our cabbage bed. And then I also seeded some greens and collards and kohlrabi in this bed. Kind of right in here. And then in this bed, we have a lot of onions. I'm not covering this one. I didn't put a row cover on. So I mulched with hay around them to try and keep them warm during the colder nights. But let's do a garden tour. Hey guys, welcome to the 2022 first official garden tour. Some new things have popped up since last night when looking. We have some purple asparagus. So right here, some asparagus. There's another big one right there. It's like the size of my thumb. And then a couple more right there. And I can't really remember how many crowns of asparagus I planted in here last year, but I mean, in the matter of one day, that's pretty impressive. All right. So far, what I've gotten done in the garden is this bed that I showed you earlier. Cabbage, celery, some greens, some starts I got from my neighbor. This bed of onions, which I got most of these onions from Menards, which I was a little leery of, but I think it'll be all right.
Fleet Farm, hey.
Fleet Farm?
Fleet Farm.
No, Blaine's.
Blaine's.
We got them from Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Farm and Fleet.
And the employees didn't even know they existed. I found them in the walkway between going from where the service desk was and the doorway. So keep an eye out for wooden box with onion starts if they don't have them set out yet. Nothing is planted in this bed, but I have the soil. We added more soil to it in the last video, and I think I'm going to reserve this for tomatoes. Just really pack it with tomatoes. But I did want to show you this. So these are leeks, as you probably already know. And last year, all I did was chop the leek off with a sickle, and then I took the top part and I used the greens in a soup or something, and I left the roots in the ground. All of these leeks, because I didn't pull them out of the ground, they re-sprouted, and these are the same leeks that I had planted last year. They just came back up through the soil. So if you want to overwinter leeks, it's possible. I did mulch and put manure right on top of them, and they popped right back through. So that's pretty cool. In the sprayer here, I have some soil balance, which is like a fungi and microorganism inoculant for the soil. It's not a pesticide, it's not an herbicide, it's not a fertilizer. It's to help boost the mycorrhiza in the soil, to make sure that all the plant nutrients can get to where it needs to get. What else have I done? Oh, update on the garlic. It's looking fabulous. I have some things to clean up in here, like these random rocks. But I planted 2 types of garlic last year in probably October or November, and heavily mulched them with hay and maybe some straw. I think it was mostly just hay, but they're looking great. Another thing that I did is I planted beans and pea starts on these trellises that we've set up. So this is going to be some permanent trellising that I'm going to use each year. We got pole peas on this one and pole beans on this one. And then on this one I'm not really sure what I'm going to put on it. We'll see. We got 2 loads of manure from our neighbors or some people in town. Thank you very much. And we're going to the flies. So here's something I wanted to talk a little bit about. Oops. One moment. So the manure, I learned my lesson with putting manure so close to your house or garden. This was partially decomposed and probably some raw manure put in there. It was in that silage tarp right there and under that hay right there. And when we got it, we're like, oh, let's put it as close as we can to the garden because it'll decompose and then I can just take wheelbarrow loads off and add it as needed. Don't do that. We learned the hard way that if you have partially decomposed or raw manure in any form, you will have a lot of flies. So I went online and I was like, what do you do to get rid of flies and manure? And a couple of sites said that you need to cover them. So I took some hay and I covered that one as much as I could, and then I covered that one with the silage tarp, and within a day there was like no flies. I mean, you know, there's a normal flies just because it's spring, but these were a different kind of fly that were like trying to fly in your eyeballs and in your mouth while you're doing stuff. It took me like 2 hours to plant those beans and peas because I couldn't do anything. I had to leave because they were so irritating. So long story short, if you have a fly issue and you have open manure piles near your house or where you're working in your garden and they're irritating you, cover them with something. Cover them with some sort of carbon, whether it's grass clippings or hay or straw or even just plastic, silage tarps, whatever you have. It will make it so that the flies can't come and go as easily, and I don't know if it like confuses them or something, or they're not able to breed as well, but it helped significantly for us. Okay, another thing I want to show you is this kind of hoop trellis that we have right here. My plan is to plant either cucumbers or squash down here and let it climb up and over. And this probably isn't the best one to use because the like holes aren't very big, but cucumbers I think would fall through. And then so the fruit basically will dangle underneath, so you can just grab and pick instead of having to bend over and rummage on the ground. I'm gonna try it. If it works well, we'll probably get a couple more for next year. Plus it turns your garden from being two-dimensional, everything flat on the ground, to being three-dimensional. You can garden standing up and it's a lot easier on your back. There's a lot of things in here that I need to clean up. Oh my. Some stuff from the chickens are left over there. We did run the chickens through here, but you can barely tell now because the grass has grown so much. I needed to bring in quite a bit more soil in certain areas. It's very, very wet right here. Like it's dried out quite a bit, but it hasn't rained in a while. But this top area of the garden gets really wet, and I just need to raise the level of it up so that there is a little bit more of a slope, so it doesn't just get lazy right in here and kind of get stuck. Yeah, I don't think much else has happened in here. But so today what we're gonna do and work on together is we're gonna be planting some more beans and peas from seed to stagger the growth times, because the peas and beans are gonna be one of the things that I grow at the farmer's market. So I want to have an abundance of them at staggered times throughout the year. We're going to water in some of the stuff we planted the other day. We're gonna do some cleanup, pick up some of these logs and rocks, and I'm going to clean this, make it look nice again, make sure all the staples are pushed down. Originally, our plan with this garden was to have fencing, but we have not needed it. There has been 0 deer in the garden, which is amazing, and knock on wood, because I don't want deer in the garden, but I think they think that there's a fence up around the garden because I have the posts, so they just think they can't go in there. But I have had 0 hoof prints. We've had hoof prints out by the chickens and around, but not inside. So for the time being, I really like being able to walk in and out wherever I want to and not having to go through a door, so we're leaving it. But as soon as we have a deer issue, we're putting up a fence. So that's why there's random posts all over. And that's also why this weed mat is here. It's a, you know, a weed deterrent. So while if I want to put up a fence, I can, and it just separates the grass from the outside of the garden with the hopefully non-grassy area on the inside of the garden, even though there's definitely grassy area everywhere, as you can see down there. So I'm gonna get to it, and we'll let's start with seeding the peas and beans, because I think that's the most fun. Alright, today we're going to grow, or well, we're going to plant two other types of beans. So Ideal Market is one that I already have planted, so I want to replicate that one. And then I want to do a kind of a different one. It's called rattlesnake bean, and it kind of has like purple stripes on it, but it's mostly green, and it's kind of a flat, long bean. And it is a pole bean. Both of these are pole beans, so they should be good for the trellising. And then for the peas, we're gonna do Amish Snap, which is a good one, and then Swenson Swedish. This one is more like a, I don't know, like one that you would find in a stir fry, where it's like thin. The peas don't get very big. You kind of keep it like flat and long, and then it's like very sweet. So here we go. This is what the Ideal Market bean looks like. This. And the beans are done. Move on to the peas. Oops. These are the Swenson Swedish. Another thing I wanted to talk about while I'm planting is just about like zones, like planting zones and last frost dates and like when to start planting things. And that was a huge thing that I researched and looked into this year, because I didn't realize that the last frost date wasn't the earliest date you could plant in your garden. And I know now saying it out loud it seems ridiculous, but for some reason I thought that, oh, all of the dates that are on the back of your thing, the back, like the how to grow, they say like you know, start 4 to 6 weeks before last frost, or you know, whatever time. But then there's a whole group of cold hardy plants like peas and beans and cabbage that like to be planted in the cold. Does it have to be 65 or 50 degrees or 75 out in order for it to germinate? Which completely blew my mind. So the peas are a really good example. On the instructions right here, it says peas thrive in cool weather. Sow peas outdoors as soon as soil can be worked in spring. So when you're planting, you kind of have two whole sessions of planting in your garden. You have kind of like all these cold hardy plants that you can start in the early well, okay, I'm in zone 4, so for me early is like February. You can start indoors and have starts and then plant them as soon as the soil, can be worked. So it's not a hard, like the last frost date is this certain time, you have to wait until that and then start planting. It's very dependent on the weather in your specific area, and it took me a long time to figure that out, I guess. I kind of had two schedules. I had the transplant start schedule prior to the last frost date and transplant start schedule after the last frost date. And having the two really helped me figure out when to start and when to plant in the garden. And I figured that all out just by looking at the back of each of my seed packets, because that's the best way to know per the variety you're growing. So I hope that helps someone. Back to planting. Most of you already know that I put a lot of mulch on the top of everything last year, and I don't want to plant directly into that mulch. I want to plant into some nice soil and then have the roots go down into that mulch. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, it's really wet in this area, and a couple weeks ago there was a lot of water I would not have been able to plant. Every time I walked, it was like kind of squishy, spongy. So I don't have much soil right now, so I'm just kind of putting a band-aid on all of this so I can at least get plants started, but I want to raise up the level of soil in here by adding more, and also using organic matter to create more topsoil. These will be the Amish snaps. And they look very similar to the Swenson Swedish. So. Done! While we're out here, we'll water in the seeds that I started yesterday. Also, I can't find the pitchfork, and we don't have an open round bale of hay right now, so I'm just gonna put the hay on those later. This water is really warm, so I think it's going to be good to help germinate these seeds. Like, I could take a shower in this. So I don't want the mulch to be too thick. I'm just gonna pull some of it off, put it on the side. And then I made these beds like, I don't know, maybe 2.5, almost 3 feet wide, which, I mean, I can't reach comfortably across to the other side. So what I think I'm gonna do, and what I have started to do, is put rocks in the center. So as if I wanna cross, I can just step on my rock and then walk across. Because otherwise I don't want to just like randomly step in the middle of the bed. But at least if I have a rock someplace, I know that's a safe spot to, like a little stepping stone. Safe to step on. Okay, also put which I've never grown before, but strawberry spinach because they're rubbing up against the ash on the wood. But overall, chickens, sheep, geese, all getting along very well in this enclosure. Sometimes the sheep like to run around and chase the chickens. Hi, buddy. They are very respectful of the fence, so I'm not worried about them getting out. And we've already started to train them on to like a bucket. So we put some feed in a bucket and shake it and call them. They absolutely love it. I am waiting to kind of want to give her a little bit more of a bath. Get some of that dirt off of her. And the geese are doing well. Here's Gigi. Hi, Gigi. Hi. Let's go in. Oh, watch this. There's Loverboy. And that one is Little Guy. And Little Guy tries to attack me and Loverboy protects me. So it'll like get in front, get between me and Little Guy. Come here, Gigi. Come here. Hi, sheep. Hi. Grandpa Lamb has some like some scabs on his nose that have been healing. He wants to attack so badly. See, where's your rock? Where's your rock? Come on, let it go. Go get it. Get your rock. Sadie, what's this? What's this? Sadie, is this your rock? Yeah? Ready? Ready? And she's over there. Hey guys, today we're gonna start a bunch of seeds. So I'm kind of on the last seed starting kick for the year, I think. You never know. But we're gonna do flowers and some vegetables, some melons. Some of the seeds you don't have to start and use as a transplant, but I am doing it because last year I didn't get the greatest germination in the garden, so I'd like to start them first and then put them in the garden as a transplant so they have a little bit more oomph behind them when it comes to growing and getting off to a good start. So I'll go through what we're gonna do. I bought a bunch of just like random flower seeds, so I'm gonna do little cells of flowers. We've got some Sweet Williams, some Baby's Breath, Pacific Beauty, Calendula. It says mixed colors. I think there's another calendula in here too. Right here. Oh, that's aster. We're gonna do squash, mammoth, table queen, which I'm excited about. Early silver line melons. I've had melons like these before, and they're delicious. You don't think they're gonna taste the way they do, but they're very, very good. Crisscross watermelon, which is a new one for us. Waltham butternut squash. This one is just not a mammoth table queen, so we'll see. We'll plant the two and see the difference. And then I'm excited about this, the gigantic pumpkin. So this is an Atlantic giant pumpkin. I think it says on here, yeah, pumpkin is known to reach sizes of 500 to 1,000 pounds, which is very exciting and would be so much food for pigs and chickens to eat at the end of the year. And then I have some seeds that I saved from things that I cooked this past year. And then a fun one is we're gonna start currants from seed. I don't have access to currant plants, and they're like $5 or $6 a plant, so we're starting them from seed. And it's a little bit different than just sowing them straight into the soil, so we'll go through all of that too. Alright, let's get the soil in. I like to keep my seeds in a container just in case I forget them in the out in the garden. That I know they'll get warm, but at least they won't get wet. Because if I leave them out there and they get wet, then it's no bueno.
Do you need a hand with that?
Wow, sure.
Looked like you were struggling pretty hard. Do you need a hand?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Unless you want to jump in and help seed things.
Hi, everybody.
Just starting.
No, I'm gonna leave that to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go have some quality time with the animals. I haven't gone to see them today yet. So. Okay, have fun.
Good. So I don't always seed everything the same like this. A lot of times I'll choose how I seed things just based on how I'm going to be using them. But in this case I have so much to seed, it's just kind of like the last go of everything, that I kind of want them to all be uniform. So I don't have to think about the depth or anything. They'll just be like relatively shallow, not super deep, but deep enough to where they'll germinate. Unless it says specifically on the package, like just put it on the top. Okay, and I also forgot that I have this whole other bag that I got from my aunt when I went to visit her, of some just kind of like random seeds she had, and a lot of seeds that she saved. So I'm going to be starting some of these. Some of them I don't even know the names of them, so it'll be super fun to just see what comes up. And some of them are old, they probably won't germinate. Other ones are newer, we'll probably get some good germination. I mean, this one says it's from 2003. We're gonna try it and see what happens. Alright. Let's start with the vegetables and then move on to the fun flowers. A little trick that I don't know where I saw this, probably someplace on YouTube, was if you run out of these little plastic doodads that label everything, you can take Tupperwares like this, just disposable ones, and cut them into little strips and then make your own little plastic things so that you don't have to constantly buy these, because after 1 year of being out in the sun, they're super brittle and you can't read what's on them anymore anyways, so they're pretty much junk. So instead of buying something, I've started oh my gosh, fly flew into my eye. I've started using these, and I think it's a super little simple hack, and they're free because would be throwing it out anyways. So all right, let's do the squash, pumpkins, watermelon. I'm not going to go into too much detail. All I'm going to do is follow the planting depth that's on the back of the seed packet, and then label it and see what pops up. I'm going to seed extra so I can have a couple of plants to sell at the farmer's market. I don't know how many people will buy, but I think it'll be a fun experiment to see what people are interested in and if it's worth, you know, having plant starts available. There's only 6 in this one, so it's fine. How are the sheep?
We're good. I fed them a bit.
Yeah.
They're really getting a little more character.
Yeah.
A lot of those yellow weeds.
Yeah.
The tops are gone now.
Oh, that's good.
So I guess they were hungry enough.
Okay, gigantic pumpkin. Okay, it's the Atlantic giant pumpkin, but it says start indoors 3 to 4 weeks before last frost. 7 to 14 days for germination. Doesn't say how deep to plant it, but I think around 1 inch. Oh my gosh, look at this. So this is a butternut squash seed here, and that's the big pumpkin. They're huge. Seeds are ginormous too. I'm gonna like push these in. Okay, I realized I didn't bring out any cucumbers and have not planted cucumbers yet. So I grabbed those and I cut up some of the little plastic things. For cucumbers this year, I don't know. I mostly want them for canning and a little bit of fresh eating. So we're gonna do green finger cucumber, and then Space Master 80, and then the National Pickling Cucumber. And I also found nasturtium, so we'll plant that too. These were repeats. All right. If you don't know what nasturtium is, it's a very colorful flower, and it has these like kind of like lily pad looking leaves, and you can take the leaves and add them to pesto. They have kind of like a spicy, almost basil flavor. Add them to salads, and the flowers are edible. So and it produces a lot of flowers. So when you have them out in the garden, you can pick flowers as you're picking stuff for your salad, and then top your salad with nasturtium flowers. And they have like a sweet and then like a little bit of a bitter taste at the very end. And now I feel obligated to plant them every year because it's like Nick's favorite word. So he has a whole rhyme for it too. I'll probably direct seed more of those, but just to get us going, I'll do just a few. Alright, we'll do probably just 5 of each of these cucumbers, and then move on and plant a bunch of flowers. And I'm probably not even gonna keep track of what variety each of these are because they're so similar. I just want to try different ones and kind of just more so to use up the seeds. I have a lot of seed and I don't want it to go bad, get old. Oops, that's mother 5. And that way we can have a variety of veggies. A variety of veggies. Different varieties of varied veggies. There we go. Well, let's see. This doesn't say how deep to plant it, but would assume like 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Right. On to flowers. They say 1/8 to 1/4 inch depth. 1/8, 1/8 half, eighth to a quarter, 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 eighth to a quarter, quarter. Okay, they're all pretty much the same. So let's do these guys first. Now, I don't know if these will overwinter or not. I guess we'll find out. Oh, these are very small. I'm just gonna sprinkle a couple in each one. And then I'm pretty much gonna just let them germinate, get to like a medium height, nothing crazy, and then plant them, like the whole cell, just like plant the whole cell, so that even though there'll be a bunch of flower plants in there, that cell will just kind of take up an area. Yeah, just trying to get more flowers on the property. Oops. I didn't need to open them. One of the things I think people forget about when they garden is that, like, you want your garden to have a flow, you want it to make sense, and you want it to be beautiful. So the beauty brings the pollinators and brings diversity, so that not everything is a vegetable. And I didn't think that was an important thing for a while, and now I value it a lot more. So let's see, I did 4 rows of baby's breast. About that round. Let's do 3 rows of calendula. Ooh, these have a cool seeds. They look like little, octopus arms. I think I'm gonna put 2 per cell. I know that calendula or calendula, however you want to say it, brings pollinators, and it also deters like pests. So I'm not sure, I can't remember which ones, but it's a really good plant to have in a vegetable garden because it deters the eating pests of some sort. I know that's not very helpful, but that's why I'm planting it. Plus it's pretty. Once they pop up, I'll be able to tell which one is which. Okay, now we're getting into just some. I'm probably going to direct seed some of these flowers, well, probably most of them as well, in different areas around the farm. So I think the aster I'll label, but the rest of these are just like a mix of random different varieties, and just gonna start them. And oh yeah, there's, you can tell there's cool. Oh wow, that's cool. Look at that. Very different. Okay, so I feel like there's probably some people out there who's like, you should be direct seeding those. Probably, but the area I want to direct seed them doesn't have great soil right now, so I want to get them started. In some good soil, and then plant them out. And then every time you transplant something, you add the like a cell of soil to your soil, so you're adding more organic matter and eventually making your soil even better. That's kind of how I've been looking at it. And there's nothing in this one, so let's do this one. Some of these packets are just like so hard to get open. I think this is the same thing. Alright, plant this aster. And then okay, let's move on to planting some of these random ones. And then the currants, and we'll wrap this up. Ooh. These ones look like baby blueberries. See, they say candy lily on them. Saba girl. I'm going to do 2 per cell. Cayenne pepper. This looks like the other one. More candy lilies. Save a girl. More Saber girls, but older. Aged to perfection. Okay. Let's do more of these. These are 4 o'clock, yellow 4 o'clocks. I don't know what these are. Daylilies. Oh, 2007 seeds from Vine in Chesterton. Girls just want to have fun weekend. And look at how cool these seeds are. They have like a little white, like a zebra or something. Grapevine and moon blossom. I don't know. We're planting it. A lot of these are vegetables. I just want to focus on the flowers for right now and for the rest of this video, so we'll hold off on these vegetables. Okay, so the last thing to do is to start the currants. So these are golden currants, and it says soak the seed in water for 24 hours and then sow in early spring, 1/4 inch deep. So I brought out a little container of water. Someplace. There it is. We're just going to dump the whole packet in the water. And soak them for 24 hours. and then seed them outside. We're gonna direct seed these because that's what the doesn't give an option for. I'm sure you could transplant or like start them inside, but there you go. I'm gonna get these all covered and watered in, and that pretty much concludes this video. So if you like the video and you like this content, subscribe and like and turn on the notifications button. See you later. Alright, it's the next day and we soaked the currant seeds for 24 hours, and now I'm gonna plant them in this little pot here and set them in the high tunnel with the other seeds that we started yesterday. So all I'm gonna do is kind of scatter them on the top of the soil and then layer it with a very thin layer of soil on top. They're kind of hard to get out because they're wet still, but I did this with some other seeds and it worked really well. They are very sticky to my fingers, so. Alright. There we go. They're very little, but if you don't know, currants are, they're like kind of like a sour, little round berry that a lot of people make jam out of. Okay. Water them in. We're good to go.